They are charismatic, flattering, and instantly comfortable. Why does that immediate charm make you feel guilty when you finally say no? This is the dark psychological paradox of weaponized likability, a strategic use of charm to disarm your critical mind. We've all felt it, right? That magnetic pull towards someone who just seems to get us, right from the first moment. But what happens when that connection isn't a bridge, but a tool? Well, that's what we're going to break down today. How likability itself can be engineered and deployed as a psychological weapon. Okay, so here's our game plan for this explainer. First, we're going to explore that really unsettling feeling I just mentioned, what we're calling the charm paradox. Then we'll put a name to it, defining weaponized likability. Next, we'll get into the real core of this, the three-stage mechanism they use to turn affection into leverage. After that, we'll look at the psychology of both the manipulator and the target. And then, crucially, we'll get into your defensive playbook, how to protect yourself. And finally, we'll wrap it all up by redefining what true, authentic likability really looks like. All right, let's kick things off with section 1, the charm paradox. The subtitle here, The Guilt of Saying No, really gets to the heart of it. It's that weird, confusing knot you get in your stomach, where your gut is telling you something is off, but your social conditioning, that part of us that just wants to be nice and agreeable, is telling you to just ignore it. This isn't just about being polite. It's a very real tension between your own self-preservation and your desire for social acceptance. And this slide asks the million-dollar question, doesn't it? You know your own boundaries. On any other day, you'd have no problem. But when this specific person asks for something, suddenly saying no feels like you're personally rejecting them. It feels mean. So why is that? Well, because that guilt you're feeling is not an accident. It is the intended result of a very deliberate psychological setup. Their charm isn't just who they are. It's a tool designed to make any kind of refusal feel like a betrayal. So now that we've identified that feeling, let's move on and give it a proper name. We're defining likability here, but specifically as a covert or hidden tactic. And this is a huge step because we're moving past the idea that someone is just being nice. We're now in the territory of charm being used strategically. And really understanding this definition is the first big step to seeing this behavior out in the wild. So here it is, laid out plain and simple. Weaponized likability is a calculated strategy. It is not spontaneous warmth. It's designed to tap into a really powerful psychological bias we all have, known as the liking principle, which is just our very human, very natural tendency to say yes to people we like. The goal here isn't friendship, it's compliance. By getting you to like them, and like them fast, they can basically hit the mute button on the part of your brain that should be asking, hang on, is this actually a good idea for me? And these are the core tools they use. It's how they build this whole thing. First up, mirroring. This is super subtle but incredibly powerful. They'll copy your posture, the way you talk, your rhythm. It creates this subconscious feeling of familiarity, like they're one of your people. Then comes the excessive flattery. This isn't just to make you feel good, it's designed to make you feel like you owe them something. And finally, they'll claim similarities. No way, you like that obscure author? I love them. It's a shortcut to rapport. And all these things together build this kind of emotional shield that makes it incredibly difficult to question what they're doing. Okay, this brings us to the absolute engine room of this explainer, the three-stage mechanism. This is where we break down, step by step, exactly how that warm, fuzzy feeling of affection gets systematically turned into cold, hard psychological leverage. It's not random. It's a predictable, repeatable process. And here they are. The process happens in 3 distinct stages that build on each other perfectly. It starts with what we call rapport seizure, then it moves to defense collapse, and it ends in compliance coercion. Understanding this sequence is absolutely the key to spotting it before it's too late. So let's dig into stage 1, rapport seizure. And the word seizure is there for a reason. This isn't a slow, natural buildup of connection. It's a rapid, one-sided takeover of the social dynamic. Using those tactics we just talked about, the mirroring, the flattery, they create this feeling of intense rapport that feels almost magical. You know, like you've just met a soulmate. This immediately flips on that liking principle. And just like that, without you even noticing, your guard is down. And that leads right into the next stage, defense collapse. See, once you like someone, your brain wants to be consistent. The internal logic is basically, well, I like this person, and good people do good things. So what they're asking for must be reasonable. Your critical thinking, the part of you that would normally pick apart a request, is effectively put on standby. And that affection you feel is subtly twisted into a kind of psychological debt that you now feel you have to repay. And that brings us to the final stage, compliance, coercion. Now the request finally comes. But at this point, you're not really thinking about the request itself. You're thinking about how saying no might damage this wonderful new connection you have. The manipulator has set it up so that refusing the request feels like you're destroying the relationship. It's basically emotional blackmail. And so, to keep that good feeling going and to avoid the guilt, you comply, often while pushing down that little voice in your head that's screaming, "This is a bad idea." Okay, so we've covered the what and the how. Now let's dive into the why. This next section is so important because it looks at the psychology driving both sides of this equation: the cold, calculated reasons of the manipulator and the deeply human vulnerabilities of the target that they're exploiting. This slide just lays it all out, and it's almost tragic when you see it side by side. For the manipulator, this is all about efficiency. Why waste time with a logical argument when charm is just so much faster? It's a shortcut to getting what they want. And that emotional shield they build makes it really hard to hold them accountable if things go south. But on the other side, the target's vulnerabilities, they aren't weaknesses. They're what make us human. We are hardwired with a deep need to belong. We are wired for reciprocity. When someone's kind to us, we feel this powerful urge to be kind back. This whole tactic basically weaponizes our best instincts against us. All right, we have spent a lot of time analyzing the problem. Now let's switch gears from analysis to action. This next section is your defensive playbook. This is where you get empowered to fight back. And honestly, the single most important skill to learn is how to separate your feelings about the person from your objective analysis of their request. Here are 3 concrete things you can start doing today. First, run what we're calling the friend or foe audit. It's a quick mental check. Second, learn to consciously pace the rapport, which just means resisting that urge to get swept up in an instant connection. And third, enforce factual accountability. Ground the conversation in facts, not just nice-sounding feelings. Let's really zero in on this first step, because it is probably the most powerful tool in your entire arsenal. It's the friend or foe audit. The next time you feel that pressure to agree, that guilt we've been talking about, just pause. Ask yourself this exact question. If a person I actively disliked made this exact same request, would I still say yes? I mean, really think about it. The answer is almost always a crystal clear, immediate no. And this simple question works because it instantly neutralizes the emotional leverage their charm has created. It forces you to look at the request on its own merits, completely separate from the person asking. Okay, for our final section, let's bring this all home by redefining what we should actually value in people. This isn't about becoming a cynic who distrusts everyone. It's about becoming a better judge of character by shifting your focus from their surface-level charm to the ethical bottom line of their actions. And please, if you take only one thing away from this whole explainer, let it be this right here. With weaponized likability, the small thing they're asking for is almost never the real point. The true target is and always has been your boundary. Every time you say yes when you know you shouldn't, that boundary gets a little weaker, a little more eroded, which makes it that much easier for them to ask for something bigger next time. They are systematically breaking down your defenses. So here's the big takeaway. We have to consciously change our definition of what makes someone likable. It can't just be about a charming smile or a clever compliment. We need to redefine genuine likability as something that comes from ethical action and consistent, respectful behavior over time. Real likability is earned through integrity. It's not seized through manipulation. So as we wrap up, just remember this one central idea. Weaponized likability isn't a personality trait. It's a strategic defense, a calculated performance that's been carefully designed to get a specific result. The charm is just the armor they wear to hide their real motives. And as we've seen, the pattern is always the same. It starts with that rapid Rapport Seizure to create a fake bond. That leads directly to the collapse of your critical thinking. And in that moment, the affection you feel is ruthlessly converted into psychological leverage, pressuring you to say yes. But here's the thing. Awareness breaks the entire loop. By using simple tools like the friend or foe audit, and by consciously pacing the rapport, you take back your power. You fundamentally shift your decision-making away from their subjective charm and back to objective ethics. And when you do that, you're not just protecting your boundaries, you're protecting your autonomy.